at a professional level.
About the only time that I haven't been professional, I guess, when we were doing these things is when you gave me goddamn hot sauce.
Oh, that was fun.
You have now joined the It Couple Podcast Show. Let me introduce our hosts, Laura and Xavier.
Are you ready?
All right.
Ready?
You're going to start it off this time. 1.
Don't I usually?
Yes.
Okay.
2, 3.
Hey, I thought I was starting it off.
Yeah, you're starting it off. I was just clapping. It's not starting.
It's starting. The clap is starting. That's the start. That's the gunshot. Bam, boom. Whatever.
I agree to disagree, but
I'm right. You're wrong. Get over it. Anyhow, hello everyone. Yes. Welcome to the show. We are the It Couple, and I'm Laura.
And this is Xavier. And you know what? Today, this topic actually came from our daughter, and it's kind of had me kind of thinking about it, because I think we're going to see more and more of this happen. It's already on the title, so you probably got an idea what we're going to be discussing. And that is having relationships like friendships or more that are completely virtual or completely digital or just completely.
Well, I mean, that's already kind of started in our time frame too.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember when we were playing World of Warcraft, there was people on there I considered my friends, but I'd never met them.
Yeah. Well, here's what my daughter said. Here's what she said. She said, because I was talking to some friends online, and she's like, well, they can't be your friends because unless you actually meet them. And
that's because I told her that. I had that conversation with her.
You're to blame.
In a way. The thing is, I feel like with kids, we have to kind of slowly feed them things.
Yes, because the way we interpret things is a little bit different than how they interpret it.
Yeah, this point, I don't want my 9-year-old daughter to think that these people that she has met online, who very well could be child predators, because that happens.
Yeah.
I don't want her to think that these people are her friends and she can just meet them whenever she wants, kind of thing. Like, hey, you want to come hang out with me at the park? No, you don't know this person.
Exactly. That's a totally.
They might not be who you think they are.
But then there's other people. I think they kind of take that in the same way. It's like you can't really be friends with someone. So it's like. I think
if you're an adult, it's a little different.
No, not even adults. They kind of it's kind of weird from what I've seen. We've done VR chat and World of Warcraft and name your other game that's out there. And there's this feeling from some people where, yes, they know there's another person, another player on the other end, but they don't really see that as an actual person. So they just kind of treat it whatever the way they want it to. So they wouldn't do anything like be. How people they'll say a lot of rude things online, but if they're sitting right in front of them, they wouldn't do that at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean, social media is full of them. We call them trolls.
Yes, there we go. I took a long time explaining what a troll was. I
think most people know what a troll is nowadays. But yeah, I feel like in a way, sometimes it brings out the real insane in people, and some people just want to test the limits of the world. And that's a little bit different than not understanding that there's a real person behind that character. I mean, if you go and I'm going to duel you and kill your character, you're not wanting to actually kill that person.
Yeah, well, someone needs to tell that to, Fox News, CNN News.
No, those are very separate things,
But they do kind of treat stories oh, this person played video games, so they want to kill people. But
that's a bunch of BS.
But
it's just another form of entertainment. I mean, if you go watch you go watch it, are you all of a sudden going to want to go and eat all the kids and stuff like that? I mean, no, you're not going to. It's not the same thing.
Or you're going to want to buy a bunch of balloons and lift up your house and then fly to a mountain.
or Mary Poppins. Come on. Actually, when I was a kid and I watched Mary Poppins and the Let's Go Fly Kite, I literally thought I could do that.
Oh, I'm flying. I guess what I find interesting is that, where this is very small. It's almost under the radar, but it's definitely there. It's been around for a while. People having relationships of certain types purely online. Without people even really recognizing it as that.
Well, I mean, I actually have a friend who she met her husband through playing World of Warcraft, and they weren't married at that time.
I remember there was someone like back, and when we say World of Warcraft, we're talking about 10 years back.
Yeah, they've been married for like 9 or 10 years now, I think.
Yeah,
so I don't know, so maybe not that long. Might not. I don't. Either way. However long it is that they've been married, I don't know. But the thing is that I know, that she's told me the story of the fact that, they met through, they were both playing in World of Warcraft. They met, they talked, they eventually met in person, and, it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like, honestly, that's probably a better way. A lot of times we judge people so hardcore about what we see that we forget that it's not
it's several layers of anxiety just to get through in order to have that person just finally say hello. And then that's when we have the professional face in order to meet and greet people.
Yeah, I mean, what you fall in love with is far more than just the physical aspect of a person. You fall in love with that person's character and who they are. But, part of the problem is, too, that, what we were talking about before is sometimes people are extreme versions of themselves and do things that they wouldn't necessarily do in real life. So how do you know?
They're still playing a single player game, but with real people involved.
Yeah.
And even though it's not it is still a game in a way that it does reach a certain layer when there's other players involved. Like, okay, you got to, be fair. This isn't like we can put a cheat code in and just kind of shoot off everybody. You become like that. I hate people like this because it's freaking, dude, whatever. We're all just trying to play a game. Like, there's other people and you have to be in a shared space, even though it's all digital.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be. Like, there were times when I was playing World of Warcraft many years ago, and if a kid jumped into our group, I would be a lot more conscientious of the fact that this was a kid. Not just because, I mean, a lot of times they played better than me. It wasn't that it was more of the, okay, now I can't say certain things or make certain. Yeah. And this was before I had a child. So it was
it is kind of creepy. And you have all those innuendos and stuff like that, unsheathing your sword or something.
Yeah.
Little kid. Hell, actually, I remember this one time we were playing World of Warcraft and we had a tank. He was really good. And if you don't know what a tank is, he's somebody who's really good at soaking all the damage so no one else gets hurt. And everybody just has to heal this guy. So big, giant tank. He's just taking all the beating. And then we finally hear him speak over Ventrilo back in the day. And it's this little kid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull him to the side. And then oh my God. We've been talking crap the entire time. It's definitely not safe. But after that happened, we already went I think at least 2 hours in this little dungeon thing that was going on. So it just became very awkward afterwards. Man, we just I don't know if he ruined this kid or he's just been oh, this happens all the time.
Well, and in a way, I guess it kind of happened with me because I was one of those silent players. I did not like getting onto Ventrilo whatsoever, but when I would finally do it, then it was oh, you're a woman,
well, you were playing a female character and you would actually speak. It's oh,
you're actually a real woman. Yeah.
You had me there for a second. You thought okay,
yeah. So it's really, I guess I got that aspect of it too. Cause a lot of times men will act differently when they think you're one of them versus when they think you're a woman.
Oh, yeah.
And and I mean, I was used to that because I was in the military. I was in the army. So, I was used to that whole, I don't know, just guys being guys, I guess. I was outnumbered for most of the time I was in the army. So, it was always interesting. So, but yeah, it's not, I never had a problem with it. And I mean, everybody was always very nice and, whether they knew I was a woman or not, but
you do feel there's all of a sudden, as soon as you say hello, and then everybody goes, oh, behavior increase. Yes.
Well, the thing is, though, I think there was more of that awareness in WoW when we played World of Warcraft than when I walk in and you're playing the VR chat. I'm my God, it's like people have just completely forgotten any kind of internet etiquette.
Oh my God. Yes.
You know, and it works that way too on social media. I mean, I'm on social media constantly. And I remember when I used to be on MySpace, and even when I first I was one of the Facebook people that I dragged my feet into Facebook. I was like being pulled by a chain because all of a sudden MySpace was no more. Everybody was on Facebook, and I'm like, fine.
I still miss MySpace. Oh, let me type that in as another episode. I do want to have one where we discuss MySpace. There's things I want to talk about there, but for a later date, that's adding it to my list here.
Yeah, but anyhow, so I remember people were still. I mean, yeah, you had trolls, you had the people who weren't being great, but really they were the abnormal. That most people were still. They had good internet etiquette. They were being nice, and they were trying to be understanding of the fact that you were a completely different person. And it's totally different now.
Yeah. I think I have an understanding of why just a little bit. And it's not really for just kind of how my brain has been working on this. And I'm curious what other people think. If we have anybody who wants to send us an email or something like that, tell us what they think about it or message us. What I think is that is part of the generation change. We're growing into it. We started adopting it. But before, we came back from actually talking to people, person to person. So when we got into the digital realm, that's what we got used to. We carried that kind of way because when we found a kid was in a group, we started to act, change the way we would. The way we would. And I mean, if a kid just walked in.
We were in our 20s then.
Exactly. Well, I don't think it's just 20. I think it's the time that we were 20. We came from not having that as an option to having that as an option. Where the next generation, they've always had it as an option. So they kind of grown comfortable with always interacting that way.
I'm not sure if it's a generational thing because technically we fall into the millennial, aspect. But the millennial aspect from when it starts to, when we're actually in it, because we're like the older millennials, but there's the younger millennials and we're completely different, even in the fact that we're a generation.
Well, I don't think I don't think that it's purely I don't really like the whole millennial thing, but like most millennials don't like the millennial thing.
I mean, I don't like the whole generational thing.
Yeah, but I do think there's a difference between the younger millennials and the older millennials.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're agreeing again.
Yes, we are agreeing.
If you heard our first few episodes, we do this a lot. We're both agreeing. We're just on opposite sides of the planet.
Sometimes we don't realize we're agreeing until we're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. You just witnessed that. So, okay, going back, what I think I feel is that the way, since we're not, well, I guess when we came into it, we were in our when we were 16, we were just talking to people like normal people. And then we got into it in our 20s to start talking to people online.
I mean, when we were 16, let's say I had a cell phone, but it was like call and text only.
Oh, yeah. Even if you had a cell phone, it was like, you can you were fast with your thumbs maybe, but how many people were also fast with their thumbs?
That was when you had to like press 3 times to get to C.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it was like insane.
Communication was completely different. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that
that is where LOL and all these like acronyms came from. Yeah, because we were all looking at these, having to press these numbers a gazillion times, going like, yeah, nope.
I'm just saying, to compare, there's 16-year-olds. If you just want to take it like generation to generation, there's 16-year-olds who had to mail their conversations back and forth. There's 16-year-olds who had to use a rotary dial. There's 16-year-olds who had to use.
I used to have, pen pals or whatever, and I would write letters to them. I was, that was a big thing I did when I was a kid.
So the 16-year-olds now are doing every other thing that we couldn't imagine doing, that just like our previous generation said about their previous their generation.
I mean, the thing is, some of it is a generational thing, but I don't know. It's like, it's the era we grew up in, and I know they try to break that apart by generation, but I still feel like the fact that younger millennials have a little bit of a different view on life than maybe the older millennials, because of just the vast difference that has happened in a short amount of time with technology, so it's like, I feel like the generations are just kind of a label, and it I don't know. It's based more upon like what you grew up with than anything else. Because, I mean, not every family, even now, is able to have access to the internet or have cell phones, even though a lot of people do. Not everyone does. So if they grow up.
If you ever been to a
that,
rural town, that's a key example. Like all of a sudden I have no service here, but there's people who live in that town that all of them don't have service.
Oh my God. Yeah. When I went up to Georgia, northern Georgia, I went to a town called Helen, Georgia. Oh my God. I was on roaming constantly. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, like this is literally like.
And there's people who live there and they probably think that, you're weird. Like, well, they're always looking at their phone. Like, I don't have any internet. Like, they always are like hooked on. They're like internet junkies or something.
Like people who are even on their phones think that.
Very true. Okay, well, let me go back to the to part of the topic. There was something else I want to touch on, and that is from when I was talking to my daughter. One thing that when she said that, I was thinking that actually is going to grow. That's eventually going to be a topic. I see that being the next cell phone sitting at your table type of issue. Like you're always doing this. I can see that being the next, like you're always talking to your friends online and not trying to make friends, out in the real world. I see that like that's what's going to happen. That's what us millennials, quote unquote, are going to talk. Or you're going to talk down to the centennials. We're going to be complaining about how they're making all their digital friends more important than their real life people you can meet friends. That's what I kind of see, and I kind of got from that conversation. There, what do you think?
I mean, I've always thought it was silly, the attacks that older generations do on younger generations. And I remember we watched the video where they talked about how like, that this is just a thing that constantly happens and has been happening for a while. Yeah. I always think that those kind of things are so stupid because it's kind of that same idea that like, well, this is just the way it is. Well, it's a bunch of bullshit, we can change it.
Bill Murray just put out this one thing. I'm not sure if anybody watches HBO, but he put out this was one of his new term, a new lesson or new rule as a segment where he talks about Stan Lee. It's the second time. And of course, he angers a lot of people. He definitely didn't make his case seem any better. But in a nutshell, what he's saying is that, adults who are now the age of adults should start adulting or, acting like an adult and not treating like, comic books as this holy grail. But at the same time, that's what, adults in different generations are going to act like different generation adults.
Yeah. See, and I think that's the thing. It's not an age. It's not a maturity. It's not, are these friends? Are these not friends? It's not an attack on, the different. It's just the fact that our societies are changing and adapting. The people who grew up, in the 30s or 40s are going to be completely different than the people who are growing up now, and that doesn't mean that the ones who are growing up now are wrong, or the ones that were growing up then are wrong. It's like there are a lot of songs and movies and things that were like made back, like, in 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, that, people are looking at and going like, hey, that's wrong. Like, well, yeah, if you put something up based upon that time frame, what was okay and accepted in their time frame, it's different than what's okay and accepted in our time frame.
And think about the people who are listening and enjoying to it, and they're a part of that era, that time, that society at the time, where it doesn't seem that. So bringing something from another society to our current society, there's going to be some friction there.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong or we should, tune it out or we should put it in the dark ages or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a part of history. We have to keep that as, and understand that time frame was different. You can't put it up against what our time frame currently is and what is accepted now. And I mean,
if it's wrong, there's corrections, that's fine, note it, but don't beat on that because they didn't do anything really wrong at the time.
Yeah, we learn from our our rights or wrongs, and it wasn't wrong then, so therefore it wasn't really wrong. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just it was different times then.
Exactly.
So I mean, I don't know. I feel like we are constantly trying to be like, okay, that person doesn't think exactly how I think, so therefore that means they're wrong. And it's like, no.
You ever like talk to someone and during a conversation you start getting that feeling that what they're like, they'll keep repeating the same thing but in a different way, and it's like what they're trying to do is find a way that you will be trapped in agreeing to what they're trying to say. Or they say the line, so what you're trying to say is this, or so what you think is this, or what you, and when they keep saying that over and over again, like the gotcha questions, basically what we're trying to do is trying to curve it to either way you're wrong for thinking that, or that you want to put some weight, like, oh, so you think red is your favorite color, so maybe you like people bleeding all over themselves, and that's what's good for you. Like, no, that's why? But I think that's how people want, they kind of curve that way. They're trying to make it either your idea sucks, or, oh, maybe you really do agree with me, but you now see what's wrong with you and I'm the right person. All right. It's not right. The correct. I'm not sure how it's going out. Thank you for listening to that part.
Actually,
it's slightly hard to understand.
The funny thing is, like, I was just watching the musical The King and I, and they have the song in there. It is a puzzlement. And it's so true. Because, it's like, what I thought was right was wrong. And, or what I think is, or whatever. Like,
exactly.
They got a lot of words in there. But pretty much like the whole idea is, if I think that this is right, then therefore I should act like this is right. And what if I find out then later on that what I thought was right is actually wrong? Should I still go after what I thought was right? And
Pluto's
now, even though, like, yeah,
that's one of the things like that. Pluto's not a planet anymore, and people go, oh, why don't you make it a planet again? But apparently, it's not a planet anymore because they found more information. But Pluto's not a planet. We call it math. The way math works, helping kids out with freaking school now isn't math anymore. It's a weird thing to adopt, but it's like. Yeah, it's different. I wasn't wrong back then when Pluto was a planet.
Yeah, yeah, and like with the core, I hate the core thing, but it's because I was not raised on it. So it's hard for me. But the thing is, it's not necessarily that the way that they're teaching them is necessarily wrong, because they still come to the same answer, and yes, it takes a while to get there, but they have their reasonings for it and whatever. But the thing is, I still feel like you need to send instruction manual home, because I can't help her with homework.
Personally, I think they need more product testing. Something doesn't tell me this core.
Our whole education system. Exactly. Like we could have a whole couple conversations about that.
Exactly. But going back, online friendships. Talking to people online. Now, I know, like for me, I get most of my online connections and stuff like that via a video game or something like that, where I can either chat, mostly voice. If I can talk to them, I can build some kind of connection to them, talk, hey, we're going to do this, whatever. Hey, what you doing? Or actually saying, hey, how's your day? Or what's going on?
I feel like for the most part, when you're getting into games, especially with the VR chat, like you're meeting a bunch of people and it's pretty much like you're just getting together with a bunch of friends and playing games. That's all you're doing, and so, yeah, like, they're your friends. Maybe they're not like people that you've met in real life, and you might not ever meet them in real life, but that doesn't mean that you haven't built some kind of relationship with them. It is a different kind of relationship than what we used to think of, as a relationship or a friendship or whatever. But that doesn't mean that it isn't real, that it isn't a real connection that you have with these people, and therefore they are your friends. It's just a different. It's not that the definition of it has changed. No. It's just that society has changed what that could mean.
Yeah. And when one of the things I think of is there are some certain differences between having a friend in real life and having a friend in VR. Now, I do have friends and stuff like that, coworkers and people I've worked with in the past and stuff like that. Usually it's been coworkers for some reason.
See, that's the other thing. Like a lot of times too, people will be like, well, your coworker isn't really your friend, but you spend a good chunk of your day with these people. Like they become your friend.
Exactly. And then you have time to sit there and discuss, and similar to a video game where you have time to discuss. And what I find is sometimes with video games, I have more time to talk and build relationships than I have with my coworkers, which I work with every day. for 8 hours every day. And I feel like I get more sometimes from talking to them, just because of the nature of how we work. It could, of course, it could be different for most people. But I do think that time invested in communicating back and forth is definitely the key factor.
Well, and I think the really interesting part, too, about things like that, I mean, I don't want our daughter on VR chat because it's a scary world.
That's not an endorsement to put your kid on this game. Keep them away from it until 16.
They do some crazy, really bad stuff on there. But anyhow, so, so the thing is, though, one of the interesting parts I find for it with you as an adult is you have a lot of people you meet on there from other countries. So it really exposes you to a wide variety of different, opinions, different lives, different, just societies. Which I think is a great thing and should be happening more often.
I'm going to share the story. I know he doesn't like having his name out there, so I'm not saying your name. But I will say DA is probably somewhere he can relate to, and someone really who likes Blue. 'Cause I know he does listen. But I didn't say your name, so you're safe. But one thing I find interesting was he lives in another country, and he was showing how like there's censorship, and like we hear about the censorship and stuff like that. We watch Phil DeFranco. There's Fox News and whatever, and they may cover similar stories. But it's different when you actually are talking to someone who you consider your friend. And then they kind of show you on the other side, because we were doing a shared screen, and he was showing like, I can't get to reddit.com. I can't look at this or whatever. Or, because I'm not on, because I'm in my country, I can't go here and I can't go there. And I'm seeing where websites are dead. And even when
kind of like when you go to a workplace and sometimes they shut down certain websites.
But for the entire country.
Yeah.
It's that way. And like, it kind of like, it's not like someone that was like, but it is, you get instances like that where you actually kind of, know what they're going through and what's happening for them.
Yeah. It's hard because like the internet, I feel like in a way it does need to be censored a bit, which I might get a lot of shit and hate or whatever for that.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
The thing is, there is so much weird, crazy, scary stuff on there. And, and it's like, I don't know, like maybe we should rein people in a little bit. We're going a little crazy. Like,
I think we've covered this before. I'm going to say will be said many times. We have people who don't understand the internet, don't understand games, and refuse to at times, who are in control of the internet and trying to get things connected. I mean, we do know rules need to be applied. Well, yeah, but the right people aren't there to apply them. I
mean, the thing is, you think about it in the real world, right? If the speed limit sign says 55 miles an hour and you choose to go over that, you could get, pulled over and get in trouble because that's technically against the law. We have laws. The internet doesn't have anything.
They do have some, but
they really don't.
Well, I'm saying like this: they do have them, but how they don't have the infrastructure to enforce them. And if they did, it would be a nightmare because it's not about having the lack of it or a lack of control. It's just about not having the right people who know how to control it.
Well, the hard part is too, we have different countries like, your friend on there, different countries doing different things, trying different things. Some aren't even trying anything at all. Yeah. Some are just like adding to the ruckus of it and whatever, but it's like really the internet needs to be classified as its own little world. And then we need to create some sort of government, I guess, in that world. Or
I don't. The funny thing is, I don't think it'd be that difficult. Me being on the IT side and being in the field professionally for a while.
If you're on Facebook, you have people that maybe they don't do the greatest of jobs, but there's still people that have that job that are supposed to go through and make sure you're following the rules and doing the right thing.
Exactly.
So certain websites have that, you get monitored. Reddit, I know I believe one of them too, that like people go through and monitor to see,
most of the big large platforms have something to kind of add some safeguards so people are still safe in those communities. What I don't see is that they have, Let's use YouTube as a because they're an easy one to beat up on, but YouTube is one of those where a lot of its efforts are more towards like their advertising and stuff like that. So as far as their community and what they protect more, they more protect the advertisers than the actual people who are building content on their platform. So
that happens a lot with companies.
Exactly. So what they don't have,
because it's about money.
Exactly. So the one rule is they'll do what's, they can do anything they want because they're legally backed on it. They can, they're not allowed to really put down their content. Yeah, someone can steal your money by copywriting your stuff, but we're still not legally required to do anything.
That's
the part that's missing.
There are a lot of like examples, but one of the major examples that I think is absolutely hideous and why I believe there needs to be some kind of law governing thingy or whatever in the internet is like the I don't know exactly what the term is for it, but when you have somebody you're dating and that person sends you a naked picture or whatever, and then you guys break up and you decide to then take this picture and share it.
Well, we're still using rules from, well, I mean, there may be some updates and stuff like that, but still they're not really good ones. But we're still using rules from back in 1995. Like, you would have to take a picture of this naked lady and then like, okay, we broke up. Well, I'm going to let everybody know your business. Then take photocopies of the naked lady and put them in everybody's mailbox. But that would be illegal. But if you take that same naked lady and put them on a website, I mean, one, you can make anything your account. They can't really get back to you. Or if they could, it's, who are you going to find the right person to do all that? And it really doesn't matter at the long run. It's already out there. There's no stopping it. That isn't illegal. And and I think that's where we need the right person.
But that ruins their lives almost more than the other way, because you're getting, now lots of people are seeing it, and it's just, they're that, I don't know.
There was there was this term deep face, and a lot of people were using that. And I think the reason why you even got into the conversation of going towards laws, because as we're talking about building friendships and building connections and talking with people, you have to, in order to keep it happy, you need some governance behind it. And that's why I see this is going to be a big issue coming up, later on in the next generation. And I think it'll be up for our generation to kind of help that along, because we'll be in power politically. We'll be empowered to make decisions.
It would help if we had people running our country who could even have a basic conversation with Google or Facebook or any of them.
Yeah, I do highly encourage
last year was such a prime example.
You had Facebook and Google.
Yeah.
And
they couldn't even get beyond. No, that's not what I do. That's Apple. That's Google.
Okay, so how does a business that doesn't sell anything make money? We run ads.
Yeah, it's a really bad thing, because it is a completely different kind of ball game, and the people that are in charge, they can't even have a basic conversation about it, let alone be able to get to the root of the reason why that person was even in there. And
it's not just about just needing younger people in there, because I do believe that younger people there who are just as passionate and serious about wanting to fix the heart of the issue, because a lot of people who were angry at both of them knew more of why they were there in the first place, where I feel like people just kind of whispered into the old man's ear, or old woman's ear, mostly men, and try to say, this is what's wrong with the situation. And they tried their best to kind of, it was just an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Let's turn to another topic. Same topic, but let's say you're talking about online conversations and dating and stuff like that. And let's say you have someone who's asking, how do I get into that? Like, instead for going in and trying in real life, they're going straight to online dating and dating primarily online with the video game. What advice could you imagine given to this person? I'm asking because someone literally
dated in a long time.
Same here, babe. Same here. Same here.
I mean, when I was dating, and I did do some internet stuff. Like, I went into Match.com, I believe. And I did create a profile on there, and I met with some people, and that was about the only aspect of the internet dating that I had access to, I guess,
but
and
could you
tried.
imagine a Match.com literally for an avatar for video games? Like, it would be a subgenre in order to find the right other avatar you can play with. Like, you would, I guess there would be scheduling because, you have certain days you work and certain days that she works or he works. Well, I'm not judging. And could you just imagine that building some platforms just to make sure that you're...
I mean, the thing is, relationships are hard, and it's really hard to find a person too.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't always rely on the fact that where you live, you're going to be able to find somebody that you could actually connect with. But at the same time, if you meet somebody on there who's from Russia, it might be a little difficult, it's like,
exactly.
So I don't know, like I think there needs to be some parameters with it, for sure. Don't just go to like some random site. Like, I mean, what's the one where they swipe left now?
Tinder.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, obviously, depending on what you're looking for, which if you're looking for that, then Tinder's a great place to go. Otherwise, I think you just need to, and not necessarily go to places where you find. Maybe we need to create like clubs online or something.
We do have clubs online. It's on. I was going to say VR chat, but there's plenty others. But what I meant by that is, let's say you were looking purely to have, and I'm going to use, because we keep saying it over and over again, VR chat or World of Warcraft or name the other game. You want to have a dating service in that game. So you want to find somebody compatible who plays the same game you play, but you want to have a relationship, whether it be a friendship or whatever. Could you imagine a service that would try to match you game-wise to another person, like being a service in the future?
That would be difficult. The thing is, a lot of times people create profiles or they create game characters or whatever. They're creating a persona. So they're not necessarily being themselves or answering honestly. And some people do.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I'm pretty honest, like I have a hard time not being honest, so, but with other people, like, that this is kind of a role playing thing for them, so that would be hard to match up a person with another person if you're role playing or if you're creating persona or not being your true self, because then you don't know if you really are a connection with that person, and so it would have to find a way to separate those two things from each other. But I think it's a great way to kind of get out there and see what you like and what you don't like without the aspect of
basically like digital speed dating.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're from the safety of your home, your office, instead of going out, buying flowers, meeting some stranger, going out to some date, and hopefully the dinner tastes good or everything else worked out perfectly and there are no driving issues or anything like that. And then you finally leave. Maybe it worked out. That's a lot of time and investment.
I feel like you're running into a lot of personalities online. So
yes.
So it's a great way to kind of, okay, I like it when people make jokes, or I don't like it when people make jokes. Yeah. Like, you can find out the things that you like and you don't like without the weirdness of, being in front of a person. I mean, and really the thing is too, when you go on a first date or you go speed dating, you're not being your true self either. We all put on a mask that we present to people we don't know. Like
when you're going for a job, that's your interview self.
Yeah.
When you're going out for that first date, this is like, we call it the you're putting on your Gillette face. You're the best the man can get.
Best foot forward.
Like, oh yes, I am perfectly innocent, and I do not do anything that will be even deemed as weird.
I think that's the hardest part. It's breaking through that like barrier that we all put really out. I mean, not all of us, but like our daughter puts her true self out for everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that. I'm very introverted.
There's people who are fake, and I know I don't hate on fake people. I understand what they're doing. It's their way of feeling comfortable in public. Is they have this persona, and this is what they're going to act this role the entire time while they're out in public. And then as soon as they close the door, then it's just an entirely different beast.
Yeah, I think in a way we all kind of do that.
Well, some more than others.
Well, certainly.
Your sister does not have that persona. I'm just going to say that right now.
No, she is very much her true self constantly.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The people who have they're always themselves, whatever. That's there.
Or see me, I put on, kind of I present myself in a certain way.
I have to roughly shake like the work self off of me. I feel like sometimes it just gets in your skin, and like I'm not sure if other people out there, if you work all day and then you finally get to a place where you're supposed to rest, and you still got work on your mind or something's in the back of you just irritating you. See,
I feel like it's that way for me as a mom. Like, I have a hard time shaking the mom part of me out. Like,
it is true. She does it to me. Like, she moms me all the time. We're in stores, grocery stores, and oh my goodness, I can't.
I mean, it's so hard though. Like, it's my full-time job. I mean, it's like literally, it's more than a full-time job. It's like
it's a lifetime job.
Yeah, you have most people work from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether I'm sick or healthy or whatever, And forget about the whole marriage and sickness and health thing. Man, the kids are so much more complicated.
So many levels. And then you have to have this conversation with them about, okay, well, here's what you can and cannot do. And it's her going up in the age of it.
And the thing is, like, most of the time, you cannot prepare for the things the kids will throw at you. Like, at all. There's no way. There are no amount of books I can read on parenting that could prepare me for the things that she throws at me sometimes.
Well, no, that brings me to the next topic, because in this one we already discussed, and I cut it off because I wanted to kind of save it for this one. Cause I thought it was excellent. So I thought, what would be a good age for my daughter to get into maybe playing this game. I see as a little toxic because it's a lot of group of people who are not really in the real world, and they kind of act like that, and they kind of just do whatever they want, say whatever they want. Just don't care. You can't really make them behave. And then throwing a very young person in there, what would be the age that she could, if she ever wanted to do it? And I said 16, that'd be fine. I think she'd be okay at 16. And you said, no, in the most polite way.
Always polite.
She's like, oh, no. But she
I mean, the thing is, like, I thought about me at 16, and I was like, no, probably no. I don't know.
I remember being in chat rooms.
Me
16.
too.
Yeah.
I was younger than 16 when I was in chat rooms.
You remember, I think it was CNN, the dangers of chat rooms. Please warn your parents of the dangers of chat rooms and meeting people online.
I mean, I remember the whole, let's see, age, sex, and gender? I don't remember. Gender?
Well, no, that's
age, sex. Yeah, and there was something else, like L, I think. You would do A/S/ and then I don't remember what the last one was, but like, they asked that every time you went in there, and it was so normal. Like, oh, I'm, 13 and, I'm female and, whatever.
Yeah. And this is when this was in its youth. So like very much young. So a lot of gamers now, as they hear like, oh, well, I'm 13, and then like, oh, no, young one, you run away, illegal. And a lot of like jail references in video game when there, or, some kind of kid. Back then, it was very different, and maybe it definitely needed some maturing very quick, which is why we got a lot of these laws for like, child pornography. That's where it came from. Really bad things when it was trying to mature, because I'm pretty sure that having kids and how they would act and mature themselves was not a front-running thought when chat rooms first came out. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like I can see like where the general scare from. So you take that mindset of how people act back then, and the big scare, and for a good reason, was to now, which it has matured, even though it doesn't look like it. But there is at least a level of awareness socially that, you know what, maybe you being over 20 and talking to a 16-year-old is a bit creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's wrong, by the way. It's so if anybody's confused, that's very wrong.
Well, it depends on how you're talking to them.
Very true. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's not wrong to talk to a child.
I mean, okay. Let me.
But if you're starting to make sexual innuendos around a child,
what I'm saying is, I'm throwing my Obama out. What I'm saying is that sexually, very bad thing.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, no, you shouldn't have those kind of conversations. You know?
Exactly.
Although, I mean, in this day and age, like, it's like I don't remember ever having a conversation about sex until I was like 13 or 14, maybe older. And even then, it wasn't a very big conversation. It was just kind of a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure just enough. Okay, we did it. All right, we're not going to talk about
I never had that kind of a conversation with my parents.
Oh, that makes sense.
No, I mean, like, I think actually I had more of a conversation with my sister and friends. You know, but the friends I had, because I was homeschooled, were mostly from my youth group and stuff. So, you know, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, no, I don't remember having much of a conversation about it.
I think that, yeah. Anyway, we could go.
I remember reading a book and it talked about condoms. And I was like, what are condoms, Mom? And that was about the only time I remember having a conversation with my mom about sexual stuff, you know, when I was a kid. And I think I was like 15.
Yeah, I think like the first condom thing I ever got was like from my high school when they talked about it. Like,
yeah, see, it was different for me because I was homeschooled.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, you know, so and that's where it's hard for me to like be like, oh, when our daughter is 16, I'm okay with releasing her to the world and wolves and, you know, I mean.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what my idea. Okay,
I wasn't ready when I was 18.
Getting back on topic, we are rambling at our maximum. We're doing a great job. I'm trying to keep us on topic, but I'm doing a horrible job at it. But okay. Getting back to our topic, the reason why I was okay with, like, you know, her maybe at 16, maybe even 13. One, she does love being a social and talking to a lot of people. Yes. And even though it's a toxic environment, well, technically school isn't all that much better right now.
I know. She's in elementary school.
I know. School wasn't much better back then for me either. So I can relate there. And part of me feels like this is already out there. And like you can tell the story when you finally went to military and got kind of thrown into the real world and how people really act. Like that's best to be thrown at early, just so one, how you can handle it, and
it's like the conversation we had about you know, even drinking alcohol and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, if you have no experience with that, you know, you're gonna make worse choices probably.
So you use the military reference. You had like the bad kids that drank before they were age, proper age 21. That were helping the good little boys and girls because they blacked out, got drunk, fell on the floor and carrying them out. So the bad kids were helping the good kids. And the difference was the bad kids had experience. They were around at least some kind of safety net. Maybe their family wasn't the greatest, but they were there. Or maybe their friends wasn't the greatest, but they were there. And they already been around people who were experienced around these substances. And you have all these people who are brand new into it. So of course there's going to be errors made. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather have her go through this with us around instead of going into the real world where she has to be by herself in some way, shape, form, and fashion. And we're not around because that's the scary part.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's no matter what, we're never going to be able to protect the, you know, children fully from the world. But, we can't even protect ourselves fully from the world.
But just imagine, like, someone who, antisocial.
Certainly doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying to protect her from the world.
Well, exactly. But I'm just saying, imagine if, like, she didn't get any exposure, she didn't go out there, and then all of a sudden she's just thrown out there. And you're left to your own devices. It's in no man's land. I mean,
it happened to me.
Yeah,
I was it. I was that good little girl that got thrown into the army, and not thrown into there. I joined willingly. Yeah. I just had no idea what I was getting myself into.
I was one of the good kids that got really drunk and understood what alcohol did afterwards. And I remember being in a club and being brought out of the club. Actually, I don't remember being brought out. I remember waking up in my room. And just like, what happened? I don't know what happened. I was in a bar.
Is this when you were in high school or?
No, this is when I was in the military.
Oh, okay.
And proper age and whatnot. And I had all the bad kids help me and save the day. So like, thank you, bad kids. But at the same time, it's like we don't put enough forethought in our laws and our actions and stuff like that. And like, yeah, this is actually a great time for you to make it like, to throw them into the wolves because you're there and you've fought a few wolves already. Best time for them to get in the ring is when you've already been a boxer and you've been in the ring. The worst time is when, okay, this
as long as you don't throw them in there too early.
Yes, exactly. When you see that they're prepared for it, I think that's when you go in with them.
See, that's what I mean. Like, there is no amount of rule books or guidebooks or anything that can help us with parenting.
Yeah, and actually, that's where.
And the thing is, too, like, every kid is different and every parent is different. So therefore, like, we have no clue. We wing it.
We don't come with instructions.
The kids don't know it, but we wing it.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, mom, she knew about this and she put this together. That's because we had no clue what else to do.
Yeah, right.
That's why we keep doing.
It is a puzzlement.
Exactly. Why is the most of the what do you call it? When you go and get lunchboxes for kids, and I know this is totally off topic. When you go and get lunchboxes for kids, there's a certain style of lunchbox that will always be there for the end of days, and it's like look like a little bag and you can fold it over. That's because not everybody could afford nice lunch boxes that were tin.
Well, actually, they still have like things of paper bags that you can buy.
That's never going away. But,
I know. I mean, well, if I don't have her bag, like if she forgets her lunchbox at school or something like that, it gets put in a nice plastic bag.
Yeah, but no
from Walmart.
But everybody kind of forgets. Those are the malt liquor bags that parents had. They put the food in there for the kid, so the kid can go to school. That's where they came from.
I never had those.
We were still,
but then I was homeschooled.
Well,
so.
We're talking about like back in like the 60s and 70s when malt,
I'm trying to even remember the kind of lunchboxes I had when I was going to school. I remember there was one when I was in elementary school because I went to elementary school up through third grade, and there was one I had that was this hardcover. It had like wheels on it and stuff too. And like I ended up actually I should have been like a multi-billionaire because I created we were supposed to create an invention and stuff like that. And so I took my hard case, lunchbox and I had wheels on it for whatever reason. I don't even know why it had wheels on it, but I put wheels on the front and then I attached a leash to it because it only had wheels on the back. Of it. And so I put wheels on the front. So it had 4 wheels on it and I attached a leash to it and I created a rolling lunchbox. Before there was ever a thing called rolling backpacks or rolling anything.
If you could have just got that license.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
I was like 6.
So much money now.
I was 6.
All right. So, okay.
Maybe 7.
Last part, I want to do an overview to kind of wrap back into our main topic was about friendship.
We talked about so much.
Well, I know we did. This is going to be the wrap up.
All right.
Okay. So as we're talking about, online friendship, online relationships, what do you see in the future for, maybe, because we're still here in our next generation. Do you see yourself having more connections with more friends online than actual like meeting them face to face?
I mean, it's hard for me to go that route because I'm that type of introvert. Not every introvert is like me. We're all very different. Mm-hmm. But I'm that type of introvert or person. I've always just had a very few close friends. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 people that I call those my friends. Everybody else, is kind of, they're my friends, but it's different. I don't know. Like, it's weird. I don't there are a bunch of people I connect with online. I'm not sure if I would call them my friends because, I mean, I don't chat with them enough to know. It's just they're like acquaintances, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's that one's a hard one for me because I'm not sure I would ever. But I mean, when I played World of Warcraft and I was on there a lot before I had a child, when I actually played on there pretty constantly. I would have considered some of them my friends because I was constantly with them in there.
And you had full conversation. You knew about their lives, what they were kind of dealing with, what kind of job they did. It just kind of came out.
See, what was I always forget his name, but he was the other hunter. I mean, me and him had characters were exactly the same. Spy Funk or something.
Oh my God, Spy Funk. Which,
like I mean,
he was from Canada.
Was he? I have no idea. You know, but yeah, like I mean, I did lots of stuff on there with him, and you know, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know, and like I remember, like you know, a friend, well, Reagan.
I mean, there's certainly
like
some of them I wish, like, I guess for me, if I meet somebody online that I like really connect with, I wish I could meet them in real life. You know, so I'm still kind of that person that
you want a physical attachment with the online avatar, but I can definitely understand because. But
I don't necessarily think that just because I haven't met them that. Like, well, if I have a connection with somebody on there, I mean, then, yeah, they're my friend. You know, it's just a different kind of friend than the one that you have in real life. It's just a different kind of relationship. But that doesn't mean it isn't anything.
Like even the digital can have a stronger relationship or a stronger friendship than even your real life friends have. And like that's totally possible, especially you spend enough time, you know each other. You're like, hey, you doing all right? You take your medicine.
Sometimes, too, like, you know, with people that we know in real life, we still put that like, you know, persona on, you know, and it's like, okay, I can only give them so much until I see how much they can handle because they know me, they see me, they know where I live, you know, I gotta be careful about this relationship, you know, whereas like the people online, they don't know who you are, you know, so you can actually like maybe be a little bit more of your true self or put more of yourself out there. And I think that's a great way to learn more about who you really are and then figure out what you really like in a person, what you connect with in a person, and then meet other personalities too, because a lot of times we get into these like, okay, well, you know, I want to go speed dating. So I'm going to go speed dating at a place that like connects me with people that are just like me. You know, and it's like, I feel like the best kind of connections, the best kind of friendships are the ones that actually push our boundaries and they're like people that are different than us.
That is where I think games like do a really good job because you don't know who's going to jump into your lobby. You don't know who's going to jump into whatever scene or realm or whatever world you're going to be in when you play a video game. You kind of deal with what is there. So I think that's when you start meeting people from different countries. You know who you have no clue of what's going on with.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I feel like it's a way of trying to you know, it teaches us how to interact with a person that might be a little bit different than us. And it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, in fact, we need more of that. In fact, here's one thing this older generations would appreciate.
We do not all want to agree with each other all the time because, you know what, that would be a very boring world.
Exactly. Well here's what the older generations, they always talk about the cell phones. But one thing I really liked when on video games is that most people aren't on their cell phones.
Yeah.
They're on the video game, which is where you have the conversation at. And there's other times in real life you have a cell phone and you want to be in your cell phone instead. So it kind of eliminates that one layer, that cell phone layer, or that I'm on a different application layer. And you're just kind of, you know, actually just talking to people. That's actually part of the experience that you're kind of going for.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are times where I get annoyed with the whole cell phone thing, too. Like, I mean, if you're walking, walk, put your cell phone down. If you're driving, drive, put your cell phone down. You know, if you're sitting at a table with a bunch of other people, put your damn cell phone down and interact with those people.
That's when you start momming me. I'm the guy who's on his cell phone, which is fine. I mean,
okay, like, you know, it depends. If you're at like an actual space where all you're supposed to be doing it, like a restaurant or something like that, and there's the group at your table, you know, put the phone down, interact with each other. Now, if you're in an environment where there's a good chunk of people and you're all spread out at different parts, then like, you know, it's a little different. You're not going to always interact with other people.
To add to that, when you're at your desk, like when you're at a dinner, like, okay, that makes sense. Put your stuff away and, you know, eat your dinner, talk to people around you. But when you're in a video game, what are you supposed to do? Well, play the game. And if the game was talking to people, easy way to set up and have a nice, stronger reaction because you're literally doing the one thing, like this is the time to talk to people. This is the perfect setting for it. And you can start working with the relationships. I wanted to add on there, like, because, you know, I'm the extrovert and stuff like that. But yeah, I like to have many friends, thousands if I can, and just kind of jump in and meet people because I love like just, you know, getting to see a different perspective than mine. And there are tons out there. But yeah, of course, I don't agree with. But in a way, it's there's those moments that kind of blow your mind. Like I would have never thought about that in that way. I don't agree with you, but I would have never have thought about it in that way. I think there was one person that may have offended on a game, and I had explained to him exactly why it wasn't offensive, but it could have came across that way. I said it was in a game, and I said something about basic bitches, and that they kind of set him off because he understood it as a different thing. Like no, it in itself. It's about people who do normal things, but because they're normal, people insult them. Like that's the joke behind it, and kind of getting somebody to understand that who doesn't necessarily have English as their first language was difficult. But that whole junction, that was fun for me. That was actually a good conversation of explaining the mundane word "basic bitch," and that's just with moments like that. That's kind of what I kind of go for and love having.
See, like I'm in. What is that word? Like I avoid those kind of situations.
Well, and I can see why this game would be like terrifying. Actually, like I can say it did scare me the first time I played. I'm talking about VR chat. Just wondering. The first time I put the game in, I didn't exactly know how it worked. All I know is I had a character and whatever. I went into this one world and I saw this little character. It was Jack Skellington. And I was one time Jack Skellington for Halloween. I was thinking, this is awesome. And then as I'm talking, my mouth is moving as like for my character, like, oh my God, this is awesome. So like, I want to go out and see what other place to have here. So I get up into a world and I just, it's like a little open mic night session. I go down to the stage. I find a chair, sit down. And then like 12 people run up. Hey, yo, Jack Skellington, what's going on? Hey, man, what's going on? And like, oh, my God, I didn't expect this. How do I turn off the game? Because they're real people. And that part shocked me because you're hearing voices and they're people and they're turning their heads. Then they have like the programs where the eyeballs can look at you. But you have all these eyeballs, even though you're behind the screen. It feels surreal because imagine you this one day going into a store and sitting there or going into an open mic night session, you sit down on the bench because you're getting ready for the show. And 12 of the people who also watching the show also get up, turn their heads and starts coming at you going, hey, 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 hey. Like, yeah, that was incredibly weird. But yeah, thrilling, which is why I keep going back every time. Everyone
for someone like you. Like, no, I'm good. I will stay in my nice little quiet world.
I want to thank everyone who have listened to this podcast this far in. We got more to come up. I know you heard us saying that a lot, but recently my birthday had passed by and I got myself a couple lovely gifts by my dear family. Yep. And one that helps me empower my gaming. And I'll actually be playing more games and maybe doing something on Twitch. And maybe my wife also doing something on Twitch. So we're going to be spreading our internet I guess area persona experience.
I don't know, whatever.
We're going to be more on the net than we were before this year. So we're going to be growing. The It Couple is branching out into new fields, and I wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. Any announcements from you, babe?
I don't think so.
Well, in that case, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take it easy.